fire rains down from the sky. The city of New York is suddenly plunged into absolute chaos. People are running for their lives. A man covered in dust gasps for air. He shouts a desperate warning. He tells everyone to run and find cover. Amidst the thick smoke, a terrifying creature emerges. Explosions shatter the remaining silence. But before the world ended, there was just Sam. A black and white cat named Frodo rests comfortably on her lap. Her face shows a mix of exhaustion and quiet defiance. She begins to read a poem she has been working on. It is a deeply cynical take on her current reality. She hates the smell, the people, and the reality of her illness. He insists on clapping for her dark poem. She clearly does not want the applause. Ruben announces a group trip to the city. Sam is not entirely interested at first. She mentions that her last trip was supposed to be the final one. But then she makes a firm deal. She will go if they get real city pizza. Ruben finally agrees to her specific terms. She goes to her room to get dressed. She carefully applies a pain relief patch to her chest. Every movement is a stark reminder of her fading health. The yellow school bus crosses the bridge into Manhattan. Sam stares out the window at the passing traffic. She feels completely detached from the bustling world outside. They arrive at their destination and step off the bus. Sam quickly realizes she has been tricked. It is not a Broadway show, but a marionette club. A young boy greets her cat with a smile. An old man on stage begins to manipulate a wooden puppet. The puppet starts blowing up a large balloon. The balloon grows larger and larger. Suddenly, the balloon pops with a loud bang. Sam's eyes go wide as she senses a strange flash of light. She immediately gets up and leaves the seating area. She walks into a nearby convenience store. The store owner tells her that cats are not allowed inside. Outside, Ruben is frantically talking on his phone. He turns to Sam and asks about her pain levels. He tells her they need to head back to the hospice immediately. Something terrible is happening in the city. Sam stubbornly demands her slice of pizza first. She refuses to leave without eating in the city. Ruben tries desperately to calm her down. She coldly tells him that he is just a nurse. Defeated, she boards the empty school bus. She puts on her headphones to block out the noise. She looks out the window at the busy street. Suddenly, a look of pure terror washes over her face. Meteors begin crashing into the city streets. The world explodes into fire and destruction. Sam wakes up covered in a thick layer of gray dust. Ruben appears through the dense smoke. He grabs her hand and helps her to her feet. Sam snaps awake. A man covers her mouth and signals for absolute silence. She looks around and sees people gathered inside a dark theater. Everyone is covering their mouths in fear. A woman whispers an urgent warning to stay indoors. Sam slowly looks around the terrifying environment. She spots a horrific creature covered in blood. The alien beast crawls rapidly through the room. Ruben looks at Sam with utter despair. Later, Sam finds a razor and begins to shave her hair. She sits alone in a dim room. The military orders a quiet and immediate evacuation of the city. Suddenly, another massive explosion rocks the building. Ruben grabs her and they run for their lives. They stand at the doorway. Military jets bomb the bridges to isolate the island. Ruben screams in anger. Sam tries to calm his growing panic. He looks at her and apologizes for failing her. Sam calmly writes a message in her notebook. She holds it up. Ruben firmly tells her no. A sudden deafening crash interrupts their argument. The creature breaches their hideout. Sam watches in horror as the beast attacks. When the dust settles, Ruben is gone. Sam walks out of the ruined theater. She steps into the devastated streets of New York. Her face is devoid of emotion. She finds a moment to feed Frodo near a fountain. Two terrified children hide behind a nearby pillar. Military helicopters fly overhead. Sam gestures for the children to stay completely quiet. The broadcast reveals that the attackers cannot swim. The group runs towards safety as dust billows around them. Meanwhile, another survivor is violently attacked in a basement. Sam and the children join a massive crowd of silent refugees. They walk slowly, surrounded by the horrific aftermath. Panic ensues as the crowd begins to push and shove. A car plummets from the sky. People are crushed under the heavy debris. Frodo wanders off into the chaotic wreckage. The brave cat walks towards a flooded section of the street. Suddenly, a man bursts out of the dark water. He is soaking wet and trembling with absolute terror. Frodo sits calmly on a fence. The man gently picks up the cat. The man, whose name is Eric, begins to follow Sam. They walk past burning manholes and destroyed vehicles. Sam stops and confronts the stranger following her. He nervously introduces himself as Eric. Sam firmly tells him to go to the seaport for evacuation. Eric breaks down, admitting how scared he truly is. Seeing his panic, Sam finally relents. A severe thunderstorm begins to roll over the ruined city. Lightning illuminates the dark apartment they break into. Eric asks what she is frantically searching for. She explains that her entire body is on fire with pain. Eric shares that he came to the city for law school. He asks where she plans to go next. Sam tells him she is going to Patsy's in Harlem. Eric reminds her that the world is literally ending. She says if there is one slice left, Eric decides he wants to go with her to get pizza. He learns that her late father used to play the piano. Eric reads the cynical poem she wrote at the hospice. A deafening thunderclap masks his sudden cry of despair. He lets out a silent scream. The next morning, Sam continues her relentless journey through the fog. She sits outside a ruined bookstore. Eric returns and hands her a notebook and pen. Suddenly, they are forced to run for their lives again. They narrowly escape a creature by hiding in an elevator shaft. They sprint towards a dark subway entrance as monsters close in. Deep underground, Eric uses a flashlight to pierce the darkness. The subway walls are covered in horrific bloodstains and claw marks. They discover a train partially submerged in deep water. They must carefully wade through the flooded tunnels. The flashlight beam cuts through the thick mist rising from the water. Eric struggles to keep his head above the freezing water. Sam reaches out to comfort him. Without warning, the creature thrashes violently. They swim desperately as the beast searches blindly in the dark. Gasping for breath, Eric pulls himself onto a dry platform. Sam drags herself out of the water right behind him. They find sanctuary inside a ruined sunlit church. Eric leaves to search a nearby pharmacy for her pain medication. Frodo startles him jumping down from a high shelf. The creature enters the area. Eric cowers in fear as the monster stalks just inches away. He tightly shields the cat. He returns to Sam with the much-needed medical patch. As she rests, Sam tells him about her father's beautiful piano music. She remembers going to a jazz club. They finally arrive at their destination in Harlem, but Patsy's is completely burned to the ground. Sam drops to her knees. Eric looks at her with immense sorrow. He leads her into a nearby abandoned jazz club. He encourages her to play the surviving piano. Later, he presents her with a box containing a salvaged slice of pizza. A brilliant smile finally crosses Sam's face. They share the meal and drink wine in the dim light. Eric even performs a surprisingly good card trick for her. They laugh silently, but their peace is shattered as they must move towards the evacuation boats. A horde of monsters descends upon the fleeing survivors near the docks. Hiding in an overturned car, Sam tells Eric to take deep breaths. She kisses Frodo goodbye and hands the cat to Eric. She looks him in the eyes and whispers for him to run. Sam grabs a heavy iron pipe and runs out to distract the creatures. Eric sprints towards the water, holding Frodo tight against his chest. A massive monster chases him right to the edge of the pier. He leaps blindly into the freezing river. Hands reach down from an evacuation boat to pull him to safety. A stranger reassures him that he is finally safe. As the boat pulls away, Eric finds a note in his pocket. It is from Sam thanking him for bringing her home. Back on the abandoned streets, Sam stands alone in the sunlight. She unplugs her headphones. She smiles at peace.